Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for coming in today. A special thank you to Gina for inviting me and allowing me to do this presentation for all of you. I'm excited to get this started. So as Gina might have given some information, this is a brief presentation on becoming a reviewer with our journal Emerging Perspectives, particularly highlighting some of the benefits that we as editors perceive our reviewers may experience through getting involved in this role. So before I get started, I thought I would give some information about me. So you have sort of some idea as to who the presenter is. My name is Maisha Saida, and I am one of the editors of Emerging Perspectives, and particularly I am the section head for articles that we received from the fields of school psychology, developmental psychology, clinical child psychology, as well as any articles from the general child psychology field. I am a student at the Workland School of Education. I am a PhD candidate within the School and Applied Child Psychology specialization. And I've also pursued my master's in the same area from Workland. My apology, I could not be here I couldn't be there at the session in person, and the reason being is I am currently doing my APIC pre-doctoral internship in Washington, D.C. So I moved from Calgary to Washington last August, and I will be here for a year. So all my correspondence with our Workland graduate students this year would be via online. But I am leaving my email address here on the slide for you. If you have any specific questions or comment about the content that will be presented through this presentation, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. If you needed sort of elaboration on some of the points that I will be talking about, or if there is any confusion, any question, please feel free to reach out to me. If you feel that at the end of the presentation you may need my email address, please see Gina and she could forward you my email address as well. But also Gina is also one of our editors, and if you have any questions about being a reviewer, she would be, she could also answer your questions as well. So we're talking about, what our reviewers do and what we think some of the benefits of taking on this reviewer role. And before I began, sort of just as a background statement, I think when we sort of think about, as graduate students, I think when we think about the role of a reviewer, there may be a tendency for us to sort of think that this is a role or this is a position that students who are interested in academia research should obtain because it's more geared towards them. And yes, this is true to some extent. That this is a sort of this being a reviewer provides a great foundational training for future students who want to be researchers. But I hopefully during this presentation I would also like to highlight that why involved in academic reviewing also is a great opportunity for those of us who are interested to pursue who are interested to be a practitioners, whether that's within the field of education or in psychology. So it's not only, so I hope that you feel that, it's only for students who want to be a researcher, but I will also be highlighting some of the benefits that may be, some of the benefits that the reviewer opportunities may open up for those students who want to be practitioners within their respective fields. So what do our reviewers do? So I think as graduate students, we read journal articles. We have been reading them, and I'm assuming that all of us have some idea as to what reviewers do. A very short overview, what happens at Emerging Perspectives specifically is once an article is submitted to our website, Emerging Perspectives, our journal manager, Britt Paris, sort of reads over that article to sort of identify the area of the article, and based on the area, the article is assigned to the corresponding editor. And then the editor, based on the interest and specialization that has been claimed by reviewers, then select 2 reviewers to independently review and evaluate the article. So yes, Emerging Perspectives goes through a blind peer-reviewed process. But these are sort of, I mean, these are the traditional responsibilities that we see most journals having for their reviewers. But I want to sort of highlight the unique opportunities and unique mentorship-based opportunities specifically that our reviewers have within Emerging Perspectives. So, Emerging Perspectives is a journal operated by and for graduate students. So all our reviewers are also graduate students. And I should also highlight that our reviewers are not only from Workman School of Education, we now have reviewers from across the country from different psychology and education departments. And at many times, our reviewers, this is their first role and position as a reviewer for an academic peer-reviewed journal. So this is the first time they're doing this. So, we understand and we acknowledge that, there may be some uncertainty about the process. There may be uncertainty about the things that they're recommending, about the things they're providing feedback for. Sometimes there may be even confusion about, am I supposed to highlight this? Am I supposed to provide feedback about this? Is this even a relevant feedback for me to provide as a reviewer? So we understand and acknowledge that, and that's why, especially for the first couple of manuscripts, the editors works really closely with the reviewers to provide that feedback and guidance to a reviewer. So the editors that you're working with, they're not only the editors for the article, but they're also your mentors that you could go back to them and ask them any questions you have, any sort of feedback, if you have any confusion about uncertainty. The editor is there to help you guide and mentor throughout that process. And even after you have submitted your reviewing product, the editor goes back and gives you explicit feedback about the things that you have done really, really well, and also as some of the things that could be, some of the things that you may be paying attention to in the future, helping you to identify some of the areas that might have been missed. So you're receiving continuous feedback about your role, and hopefully this is a great learning opportunity for you. But what is also, I think, unique about Emerging Perspectives is you are also having the opportunity to be a mentor, and to be a mentor for our authors. Because this is a journal for graduate students, at many times we have articles who are written by and submitted by first-time authors. So this is the first time they're putting together an article, and writing your first journal article, there is that same level of uncertainty. There may be confusion about is this something that you want as a journal? Should I put that information? Is this even a journal article? So you as a reviewer are able to sort of provide that mentorship on that regard. Now, as an Emerging Perspective, we always sort of present ourselves as a mentorship-based journal. And why we sort of say that is, when the reviewers and editors work with the articles, we don't just say that, this is a weak article, sorry, we're not accepting this. In our reviewing process, in our editorial process, we are providing our authors very explicit and concrete and direct feedback on how their articles, if they're weak at the time of submission, could be advanced into a publishable quality. Because one of the platform of Emerging Perspectives is to encourage and provide a medium for students to start publishing. So we don't want to just turn away articles. We just don't want to criticize. We don't just even, want to provide negative feedback, like, this is weak, this is not a good article, this is not relevant. We actually want to mentor that first-time authors to really think about that material and provide very direct and concrete feedback and directions and instructions as to how that article could be changed into a publishable quality. That said, whenever I talk about this, I always say this at the end, like, no, Emergent Perspectives is not an open door journal. It's not that we just accept any article that's get submitted to our journal. But even the articles we're saying that at this point, it's not an article that we could work with. We give feedback as to how that article could be resubmitted, that we could work with to make it into publishable quality. And I think that having that opportunity as a reviewer when you're working with authors to provide your insight and feedback as to how an article could be transitioned into a publishable quality really provides you that opportunity, that learning to develop insightful critical thinking skills, and also gives you opportunities to take on more explicit mentorship and guidance roles. And when you talk about reviewing experiences on your CV or in your future interviews, when you finish your graduate students, you could highlight these experiences, because these experiences will speak of your ability to mentor others in your workplaces, guide others in your workplaces, as well as your potential skills to be a supervisor in your future work. So, you know, if you're interested to be a reviewer, and we'll talk more about the benefits of being a reviewer in my next slide, there is an application process. Please contact our journal email address, our manager, Britt Perez, at epicrep@ucalgary.ca, and let her know that you're interested to be a reviewer. She will send you an application form. So yeah, and once you complete the application form and submit it back to Emerging Perspectives, it gets assigned to 2 to 3 editors, and the selection of editors rely on your area of interest that you have sort of identified as your specialization. So for example, if you're a student in Workland Leadership Program, and that's one of the areas that I'm thinking that you would highlight as an area of interest and specialization, then our editor, who is the section head for educational leadership articles, along with another person who's within the field of educational research, will evaluate your application. And then on the application process, in addition to identify some of the areas of your interest and specialization, you will also have the opportunity to identify types of articles that you feel confident to review. So for example, new research, experimental research, literature reviews, systematic reviews. And I also want to highlight, in the past few months, we also have added two new different types of articles that we are accepting in Emerging Perspectives. Those are research briefs and practice briefs. So briefs, that's the key word. So they're brief articles, about 5 to 7 pages, highlighting a unique research finding or a unique experience, or a unique experience that is worth highlighting and sharing with a global audience from a practitioner perspective, and again, from both education and psychology field. So as we move on to our next and our final slides as to why in our perspective, why you should become a reviewer and what are some of the benefits, is, in graduate school, we read a lot, and we read a lot of articles, and we are expected to absorb that information. When you become a reviewer, you're not only reading a lot, you don't only expect, reading a lot about your area, but you also have the opportunity to take a time, not only read that material, but use your own clinical and educational judgment, as well as your own insights, your own knowledge, and your own experiences to really critically evaluate and analyze what you're reading. And having that, and that being a reviewer provides you that space to talk about your thoughts and write that feedback write the feedback to the author. So you're not only just absorbing the information, you're not just learning something new, whether in the research field or the practice field, but you really have to critically think about the material, use your own insights, use your own expertise to provide feedback. And I think that is a great learning opportunities for graduate students, because it creates another foundation, another medium to develop some solid critical thinking skills, and also to develop our develop analytical skills in terms of how we review and how we analyze materials that we are reading. And in addition to expanding our knowledge, we are also staying up to date with what is happening in our research fields, what is happening in our practice fields. We are having more regular access to some of the new and creative research that is being done in the field, some unique aspects of practice, as well as we're staying more up to date with some of the future directions that our field is moving forward in. And as I said, the skills, this critical thinking skills, the skills to provide your own insight, provide your own judgment, incorporate your own experiences in the information that you've been read to. These are skills that could easily be transferred to any sort of practice-related career jobs that you're interested in. As well as I highlighted earlier, is the mentorship role that you take on by being a reviewer also helps you to highlight some of the skills and experiences that you have taken on from this position that you could transfer to a new job when you may have to mentor, guide, or supervise individuals in your new workplace. And also for those of you who may be particularly interested to pursue a career in academia or who want to become a researcher, if you're able to highlight on your CV that you have reviewing experiences, not only through Emerging Perspectives, but any other journal, that provides a great opportunity for you to represent your expertise within the field of research that you're interested in. And for all of us, whether you're interested in practice or research, being a reviewer provides possible networking opportunities with other graduate students of similar interests and career ambitions, not only within Workman School of Education, but across Canada. And this year, we're actually hoping to recruit reviewers from United States as well. So, you are becoming a part of an academic and a practice-based community where you are taking on new information. You're not only taking on, you're evaluating, you're critically analyzing those new information, you're staying up to date with the latest literature, you are refining and continuously developing your mentorship skills. And if you're interested to become an editor of not only Emerging Perspectives, but any other graduate student-led graduate student-led journal, or in the future as a researcher, as a practitioner, if you want to become an editor, most editorial boards would like to see, most editorial boards would appreciate an applicant who has previous reviewing experiences. So I think that if becoming an editor is your goal, starting with a reviewer gives you that foundation and gives you some understanding as to how the editorial process works. Plus, it would look great on your CV as well. So I will not take more of your time today. I know there's another presentation, and Gina may also have other items on the agenda. So hopefully, this presentation gave you expanded your understanding as to what the reviewers do in our journal, but also expanded your understanding of some of the benefits that doing reviewing for a journal may contribute to your learning and your development as a scholar or practitioner in the field that you're aiming for. So again, thank you for listening and thank you for your time. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. Gina has my email address. But if there's any general question about reviewer, Gina is a great resource. She's editor for us, and she will have the information. I wish you all the best in this academic year and in your role as a mentor. And have a great rest of the afternoon. Thank you.